You're listening to the Naturally Noelle Show, brought to you by Noelle's Naturals, all natural products that really work. And now, please welcome entrepreneur, wife, homeschooling mom of 4, and founder of the Noelle's Naturals brand of products, your host, Noelle Talley.
Hi friends, thanks so much for being here today. It's just me and you this afternoon, and we're just gonna chat and hang out, the two of us. So today I want to talk about my personal health journey and kind of where I am currently. I feel like that would be, really helpul for some of you to kind of just hear a little bit about, an ongoing work in progress. What's working for me, what's not working for me, areas that I'm doing really great in, areas that I could use some improvement in, and maybe areas that I'm really just doing terribly in and maybe need to do a lot better in. And the reason I want to talk about that is because, we've had so many great guests over the last 2 seasons who sometimes it's hard when you talk to an expert, somebody who, especially someone who has gotten into the field because of their own personal struggles on their, health journey and wellness journey, and they are already at the goal line. Sometimes you can see that and just feel like, gosh, like I'm never going to get there, and they're doing so great, and they're so fit, and they're so vibrant, and, I'm just not where I want to be, and it can feel discouraging. So I wanted to just kind of come on here, not as an expert in any way. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not certified in any kind of, as a health practitioner, or fitness coach or anything like that. I'm just a relentless researcher. I'm somebody who I am very in tune with my body, and just in general, not even just with my body, but when I see a problem, I want to fix it. I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to find out why it's not working. And so with my health, that has always been the catalyst for pushing me to research, pushing me to find out, why is my health not exactly where I want it to be? And so I'm just going to be kind of raw and vulnerable today and just sort of share where I'm at. Now, this is not at all to be interpreted as any type of medical or nutritional advice. Again, like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing with you where I am, what's working for me, what's not working for me, and maybe that'll just give you kind of some insight into like someone who's halfway there, if I could be generous with where I am and where I want to be. So let me back up a little bit. So, last year we, as you know, if you listen to episode 1 of season 2, I talked about moving out to our farm and just kind of how difficult that process was. And so admittedly, I underwent a very stressful season of just packing up our whole house, living in temporary housing while we were waiting for our home to be ready. And just the transition of just completely upending our life was really hard on me. And so that stress does take its toll on your body. And so I went into the fall kind of probably a little bit immune impaired. We had not been eating super great as we were living in Airbnbs over several months. We kind of gotten into some convenience foods, ordering pizza, really just because we had to get through that season, and cooking every night was not necessarily feasible the way I normally do. So we probably got into some dietary distress, if I can call it that. So into the fall, right before Thanksgiving, I came down with a cough. The rest of my family also had a cough, and theirs kind of got better. Mine didn't. Mine got worse and worse. And after about 2 weeks, it took a turn, and my husband heard that deep chest cough, and he knew. I've had pneumonia in the past. I had it about 3 years ago, and I fought for 6 weeks, tried every natural remedy under the sun, and finally went into the doctor. I really just avoid Western medicine as much as I can, but finally had to go to the doctor, and it turns out I had double pneumonia, and antibiotics didn't work the first time. I had to do steroids. I had to take a second round of antibiotics. It was horrible, but I did get better. And, sometimes you do find yourself in that situation where you need Western medicine. And we're thankful for that because, 200, 300 years ago, people would have died of pneumonia. And, there's a lot of things that people would have died from have we not had the interventions that we have now. So there's definitely a time and place for conventional medicine. And I'm certainly thankful for that at that time. So I did a lot of work then to rebuild my gut and just to be well again. And so I did get to a much better place with my health after that time. So that was 3 years ago. And then I got pregnant with our youngest, who is now 2.5. So really, since she was born, I noticed a big shift with my hormones. Things kind of changed in a way, just things were different than they were before since she was born. So fast forward to this past November, he heard that same cough and he's like, don't mess around with it this time. You need to go straight to the doctor. And I knew he was right. And so I went and I did have to do a round of antibiotics. Thankfully, didn't do the steroids this time. That was a really horrible experience for me, but the antibiotics kicked it pretty quickly because I got to it right away. So since then, I have really been kind of struggling. I mean, yes, thankful for antibiotics when they are needed, but it is not without some repercussions on your body. And so I found myself kind of picking up these little colds, like every few weeks since then. And I just feel like every time I turn around, I'm sick again. And so, one of the issues I think I have been up against is that we moved out to a farm with all kinds of new microbes, bacteria, things that my body is not used to and had not been exposed to before. I'm dealing with lots of animals, cow manure, chicken manure, cats, all these things that I've not been exposed to before. So my body is definitely in a transition phase. We also are on well water, which we had our water tested. Thankfully, we do not have any of the municipal additives in our water. We don't have, the fluoride and chlorine and things like that you wouldn't want. We do have really great, really high mineral content in our water, which is wonderful. But we did have a decent amount of bacteria present in our water. Some of that I'm sure is good bacteria, but I'm sure there are probably some pathogens in there as well. And so we did have kind of like a mediocre water filter. It took us some time to get a good quality water filter put on. So we have just recently had a UV water filter put on that kills harmful bacteria and things that would be coming into our water. So I've been drinking this water that is probably exposing me to some sort of pathogens or parasitic activity. So I realized that I need to do something. I need to figure out what's going on. And so, we had Dr. Jess on last season. She talks a ton about parasites and the toll that they can take on your body. I have noticed over the last several months that I have been more irritable. I've had more of that hairline trigger. Some of this I definitely think is due to estrogen dominance, going back to that hormonal shift that I talked about experiencing after my last child was born. And so I think I'm dealing with probably a little bit of both. I'm having some hormonal issues and then also probably some parasitic and possibly like fungal overgrowth issues in my gut. So, and a lot of that is likely due to the antibiotic use. So, this is the situation that I'm in. Let's talk about some of the things that I've been doing well. So, we do try to keep our toxic load low as much as we can. We try to eat organic and clean meats and organic fruits and produce as much as possible. Like I said, we don't use a lot of conventional medicines and things like that. We obviously use clean products. Everything that we sell, we actually use. So we use Noelle's Naturals deodorant. and the tallow balms, and we take our elderberry syrup. My son, who is 9, is getting a little bit of that 9-year-old stinky boy smell. So he also uses, he likes the Charm deodorant. He likes the way it smells. But so we try to keep a very, non-toxic home. We don't use any chemicals inside our house. We clean with things like vinegar, baking soda, essential oils. I like to make a mop solution by taking orange peels and soaking them in vinegar for a few weeks. And then I just mix that with water and a few drops of dish soap. And that's my floor cleaning solution. And I also use that to spray down my counters, clean my tubs. It works for everything. It's so great and it's so cheap. But yeah, so those are things that it can be frustrating because I'm like, gosh, I'm, really trying very hard to be healthy. We do take some supplements. I will share with you some of the supplements I take. This does not necessarily mean that these are the supplements you should take, but I'll just tell you where I'm at. We do take an organ meat supplement. Like I've talked about in the past, eating organ meat is not my favorite, nor is it my kids or my husband's. It's just not something that we've developed a taste for. So we do take the Ancestral Nutrients capsules, which I can post a link to in the show notes. I also will occasionally throw a sprinkle of freeze-dried organ meat powder that I made myself. I'll sneak it in with like chili or spaghetti sauce, things like that to sort of trick the kids. It doesn't really trick my husband. He can still taste it, so I have to be really, really sparing with that. But just a little sprinkle of that can add a little bit more nutrition into our diet. I do take a vitamin E supplement. That's very highly antioxidant, which helps if I do get into any seed oils. If we want to have Chick-fil-A or, we eat something that's probably not the healthiest for us. There's a lot of organic snacks that are organic, but oftentimes they're cooked in seed oil. So we try to avoid those as much as possible, but there are some things that, my kids just love. And so we'll grab some organic popcorn and things like that we try to limit, but we do occasionally wander into some seed oils. So if you, do eat seed oils, which are really not recommended, they're highly inflammatory and really just not healthy. The vitamin E can help to combat that a little bit. So I do take a daily vitamin E supplement. I take magnesium, mainly because our soil is very depleted of magnesium. So, our foods are not getting the level of magnesium that they used to. So that's really something that's important to supplement with. I take a product called Protandim. It's an herbal blend. It has like ashwagandha, it's got bacopa, it's got a couple other things in it, and it's just really great for oxidative stress, for mitochondrial repair. If you're interested in that, I can get you set up with somebody who sells it. It's not something you can just buy online. You have to have a rep to get it, but I personally like it. I've been on it for years. And then I take a daily probiotic. I have upped that because, again, the microbiome in my gut took a huge hit when I took those antibiotics. So definitely trying to repair that with the to that's about it. I do take glutathione to support liver function and just general just detox, because I obviously am struggling with detoxing a bit. So fast forward to a few weeks ago, I finally was like, okay, yes, I need to do a parasite cleanse, and had done some research on it. I got a brand of detox herbs. It's like a blend of naturally anti-parasitic herbs that they put in a tincture. It's really easy to take. You just take 1 to 2 droppers a day. We do offer a wormwood extract on our site that is anti-parasitic. It is not a full spectrum for all parasites, so it might work for some. But I have a feeling that I have a lot of different things going on, so I just wanted to make sure that I got something that was across the board. We probably should formulate our own at some point, but that's going to have to come much later down the road. But it was a brand that I liked. I'm not going to share it with you because I'm not sure yet how I feel about it before I recommend it. I just want to make sure. I don't ever want to recommend anything that I don't personally know for sure that I how I feel about it, but I have used it before. It didn't cause me a whole lot of stomach discomfort or anything like that. But so I tried it again a couple weeks ago and took it with activated charcoal capsules as a binder to try to help flush out any toxins that are coming out. And I had a really bad Herxheimer reaction. So a Herxheimer reaction is basically die-off symptoms. So as the parasites start to die, they actually can excrete toxins and chemicals that can cause all kinds of ruckus for you, and they can cause like flu-like symptoms. And so I had a really bad reaction, and so I stopped immediately, took about a week off, and then tried again. Same thing happened, except new and different symptoms. Who knows? It's possible I just picked up something and got sick again, but it really didn't feel that way. It felt like a bacterial infection. So I had to go back to the drawing board. Now, what I have found is that what I probably failed to do adequately was to properly open up my drainage pathways. And Dr. Jess talks about this a lot, and that's by doing things like sweating. She talks a lot about saunas. She talks a lot about exercising, going for walks. And I'll talk a little bit more in a second about some of the things that I have not been doing well. But exercise is definitely one of those things that I definitely need to do better at. If you listen to my episode last season with Kelly Chall, you'll hear about my distaste for fitness and exercise. However, I do know that it's very important. And so that's something that I really want to put a priority on improving on. I definitely am active. I mean, I'm constantly outside with the kids and scooping up chicken poop and walking all over the acreage on our property. So I do get active, but as far as intentional time set aside for fitness, that's definitely an area of improvement. But taking magnesium baths, nice hot magnesium baths, making sure you're having regular bowel movements, making sure you're drinking plenty of water. And so I realized I probably have not been super great about those things. Another thing that's also really important is using a natural deodorant, because your underarms really are a big outlet for toxic release. So when you use a conventional deodorant, and I talk about this in my deodorants podcast, it uses aluminum to close up your pores, and this is what causes that antiperspirant effect. It keeps you from sweating. However, sweating is how we get rid of toxins, and your underarms are a big outlet for that. So when you close that up, you're keeping all those toxins in your body, and that's a drainage pathway that you really want to open up. So a great way to do that is by using a natural deodorant that allows you to sweat and release those. So that is one thing, obviously, that we're doing right, but another excellent reason to use our deodorant. Side note, while we're talking about deodorant and also magnesium, one of the things I also have probably done poorly starting in January is, at the beginning of the year at Noelle's Naturals, that's kind of like our sort of new year, new product launch phase. So that's usually the time when we are, I spend the last part of the year doing a lot of research and development. And the beginning of the year, I really started on formulating several new products. And, I never want to put out a product that doesn't work well. So we do a lot of trials and just going through products and figuring out what works. It takes a lot of kind of changing things around, changing amounts, and there's a lot that goes into bringing a new product to market. So we've been working on that. We just launched a brand new rebrand, redid all of our graphic design. I still do all of our graphic design. That's probably something I could hire out for, but I just really love being intimately involved with that. I have such a clear vision for what I want my brand to look like, and it's just really hard to communicate that to someone else. And so that's a skill that I have. So I still do all the graphic design for our labels. Hopefully I will not rebrand for a very long time, because it was a very long, arduous process, but finally finished all of the new rebranding for all of our packaging. It's beautiful. If you haven't seen it yet, go to our Instagram, go to our website, noellsnaturals.com, and check out all the beautiful new packaging. Our new social media director, Sasha, did a excellent job photographing that. And our staff has just been kind of like all hands on deck for the last couple months trying to roll that out. So also shout out to Whitney, our warehouse manager. She's been just killing it. And, she's been really pivotal in this rollout as well. But that has added extra levels of stress. It's added more work than I typically like to partake in. We've really tried to adopt a very slow and quiet and an intentional speed of life, and it's one of the reasons why I have taken more of a step back and hired staff that I trust to keep things rolling. But this is something, new rollouts, new products, this is always something that I'm very intimately involved with every step of the way still. And I hope that's always the case. I never want to be so disconnected from my company that I have no idea what's going on. But that's something I really take pride in, is that every product is my product. I have really poured my heart and soul into it, and it means a lot to me. That's how this company has always been, and I want to stay that way. So, but as a result of that, I've added on extra stress. I have been working more. I haven't had as much time to be as intentional with really just tending to my own soul, and out of that empty cup, I have not been pouring out good fruit. So, that has really, that's been something that I need to do better at is, I have a tendency toward being impatient, and I have a tendency toward being negative. I'm not naturally a super positive person. I'm very, what I like to call, realistic. And there's also, I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but there's a lot of craziness going on right now. And so that can tend to just put a burden on your soul. And so I've not been doing a good job of keeping a positive mindset and, keeping my head in the right place. I kind of just got into a season a little bit. We were sort of in between churches and just trying to get settled into a church here. And so I had kind of gotten out of my routine of being in prayer and being in my Bible, which always is kind of the first precursor to just allowing negative thought patterns to take root. So I have remedied that and gotten into a really great church and into a really great Bible study, and have really tried to work on just getting my mindset better, because there's so much research about how a negative mindset is exceptionally impactful on your health and well-being and immune system. I mean, way more than even your food. And that's saying a lot, because your food is very powerful, but your mind is even more powerful. And so that's something that I need to do better on. I'm working on that. And there are times when I do better at that than others. But another thing I know that I really need to do better at is really disconnecting from my phone. One thing that is excellent about being out here is that we don't have Wi-Fi in our house, which is really great because we're not having that additional EMF exposure in the home. But I do have a 5G phone. I actually had 5G turned off on my phone. You can do that on your iPhone. I'm sure if you do a search, you can figure out how to do that. If you're in an area with cell towers that will support a non-5G connection. But because we are in such a rural location, I actually cannot get cell service unless I have the 5G turned on, which I hate. But, it's kind of the reality of being able to have access to other humans during the day. But I will say that the danger of having a powerful supercomputer in your hand at all times when you are a very curious person who loves to research things is I can have the very good intention of wanting to read, articles and listen to podcasts and, just learn as much as I can. I can fall into a cycle of just being on my device too much. And it's hard. It's a double-edged sword, because to be honest, I am not addicted to social media, thankfully. That's something that I kind of threw out a really long time ago. But I do kind of have an addiction to knowledge. And while that sounds and feels like a good thing, too much of a good thing can really be a bad thing. And so I know that I need to set better boundaries, especially as I'm modeling for my children. on not being on my device, just from a mental standpoint, but also just from a radiation standpoint. I mean, EMFs do affect our natural frequency, and that does cause agitation. It does cause, upset within your mind and body, and really, I think personally, on a spiritual level, and at some point I will do a whole podcast on my personal opinions about radio frequency and EMF frequencies and how those affect us on a spiritual level, but that is another story for another podcast. But so that's one thing I do think that I could improve on. So I don't know if this is helpful to you to hear kind of where I'm at and turns that I've taken, but I do hope that it is encouraging to you, because we can't always do everything right all the time. I know we want to, and I know it can feel like, especially when you're looking at social media and you're seeing all these health gurus and people who seem like they've got it all together and seem like they're just winning at, the crunchy awards. And I know there are people who think that I'm one of those people who has it all together. I do hear that all the time. I hear people saying like, oh, how are you doing it all? And, how are you running this business and baking bread for your kids? And the truth is, I am not doing it all. Like, that's the honest truth. I do a lot of things, because I prioritize, and, that's how I function at a high level, is because I really, manage my time wisely, and I put things first that need to be put first, but not always. I have seasons where I fail, which apparently I've just come out of one of those seasons, and I hope that this is an encouragement to you, that we all kind of have times where we're not doing as great, but we can always do better. I know there can be a temptation to think like I'm just doing terribly and everyone else is doing so much better than me. But it's not always true. I mean, we all have our areas where we do better than others, I mean, there are certain things that I prioritize, and there are other things that I am quick to let fall to the wayside. And so I realize I can't do all the things. And so I have to do the most important things first. And so for me, that's first and foremost my relationship with Jesus. That has to be front and center. And when I start to let that go, other things in my life start to decline. Number 2, my relationship with my husband and my kids. That's really important. And the caveat to that is that if I'm not taking good care of myself, I'm not going to take good care of my family. And I've noticed that. I've been very impatient. I've been very quick to snap at my kids, and that's not fair to them. And so I need to take some time to make sure that I'm fueling myself in the way that I need. And so what that's going to look like moving forward in this season, now that we're done with the rollout and the new products, I started to mention it. I didn't finish mentioning it. New deodorant, magnesium. We have a new magnesium deodorant spray, which is fantastic. I think you're really going to love it. It smells so good. And the magnesium, it actually will topically absorb, so it can actually improve your magnesium levels, which is cool. If you're low on magnesium, it can cause a little bit of tingling or stinging. That's actually just a natural effect of low magnesium. And when I tried it, it did cause a little bit of burning on my underarms. That was one of the key signs that I realized I was low on magnesium and started supplementing with magnesium. But it's a great product. We also have 2 new tallow products. One is a anti-aging face balm, a whipped tallow face balm. It's magical and buttery and velvety, and it smells so good, and it's fluffy and light and like a cloud. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. I've been using it for like 2 weeks, and I swear, I'm not just saying this, honestly. I'm not just saying this to sell products. I really do. I make products to help people, and I make products that work, and I make products that I use, and I've noticed definitely an improvement in fine lines in the last couple weeks. We have a muscle balm, a tallow-based muscle balm that's really great. It's cooling. It's got blue tansy. It's got emu oil. It's got our own house-made arnica-infused hemp oil. And the fact that it's tallow-based, it helps it to really penetrate deep down into the muscles in a way that plant-based oils cannot. So that really gives it a leg up. And it's, it smells amazing. And I just know you're going to love it. It absorbs really quickly. It's not greasy. And we've had excellent feedback on that. Several people have used it and had just like instant results with back pain and joint pain and all kinds of things. It's also really great as a chest rub for congestion, which is a really nice alternative to some of the more conventional chest rubs. So great thing to have on hand in your arsenal. And then we have a couple other cute little like household items that we've come out with. So just a short little plug for that. But yeah, so we've been working hard. We've had a lot going on at the shop lately, but hopefully we're coming in for a landing. Hopefully now that season is kind of settled down a little bit, I can sort of get back to basics and spend some more time focusing on my health and wellness. And like I said, I'm about halfway there. So, and it can be hard because I'm not suffering immensely. I'm not, having, intense fatigue or, pain or anything like that. But I want to live my best life. I want to be my most vibrant self. I want to, really have just the best mood and cycles. Sometimes, when you're estrogen dominant, your cycles can really be rough, and that's something I've dealt with. And so I want to really get those things under control. So here's to being a work in progress. If you're like me and you're still, working through things, just, keep on keeping on. Like, keep going back to the drawing board. You're never going to be perfect until we get to heaven and we get our perfect bodies. Like, this is a broken world, and it's always going to be an uphill battle, especially in the society that we're in now, where we're just constantly being bombarded by, toxic foods and products and just the air and the water. And, that's enough of a battle on its own. And then you throw in, busy culture. And, the other thing I didn't mention is alcohol. I don't have an issue with alcohol. We have a couple drinks a week. Never to any excess. However, I have been reading recently how even just a few drinks a week can have an adverse effect on your immune system. So look into that, research that. There's a lot of really good stuff on sobriety, not even for a drinking problem necessarily. Although I do think there's a lot of mommy wine culture out there that's very detrimental, and we would not support that at all. But so cutting out alcohol is also something that I'm going to do for a little while. I don't have any I don't have any moral problems with moderate alcohol, or I wouldn't even say moderate, light alcohol use. But there's a lot to be said for the health benefits of abstaining. There's not a whole lot of benefit to drinking alcohol other than just the social aspect, but there's a whole lot of benefit to abstaining from alcohol. So that's also something that I'm going to be working on, as well as consuming, a lot more water, if possible. And so now that we have really clean, bacteria-free drinking water, I'm going to be upping my water intake for sure to help flush out some of the bacteria. But so before I do another attempt at detox, I'm going to work really hard on just opening up those detox pathways so I don't have another really bad reaction. So that's where I am. If you have been enjoying this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you could leave a review on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast. It really helps the algorithm. It helps other people find us. Definitely check out our new website, our new designs, check out our new products. We have 2 more products coming out this summer, some household products that will be on their way that we're working on finishing. Make sure you're connecting on social media. We really have a great community there. So many good resources and posts coming your way. Sasha, our social media director, if you've been seeing her on our reels, she's our cute little Asian thing. We love her. And she's just doing a fantastic job. So be sure to be reaching out on social media and staying in contact with us. We love to hear from you. So I don't know if this helped, but let me know. Leave us a comment. We'll post this on social media and comment and let us know what you're thinking about the podcast. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Bye. Thanks so Naturally Noelle Show, empowering you to live a more natural life, one step at a time.